Dallas remembers the first time he got into a street fight. It was near the corner of Ord and McCall in a park with a bench and a few short trees. The air was thin that night and there was ice on the salted streets and sidewalks. He rubbed his bare hands together and pulled his hat down low, his jacket tight, and his scarf up. It was just a short walk, and then he could go home. Dallas heard the howls of laughter from a bar on the corner of Dundas and McCall. He didn't stop at the intersection, but ran straight across it. A car horn blared behind him, air puffed out of his mouth, and he pulled his scarf up again and shoved his hands deep in his pockets. The rough leather of his wallet rubbed up against his cracking skin. The street was crooked and narrow past the gallery. People were shadow silhouettes in the side streets. He broke out into the light. The homeless were scattered on the sides of Queen West. There was a guy in the corner, he remembers, leaning against a plain all-glass store to beat. Every time Dallas sees him, he has a sign and a cigarette hanging loosely from his lips. Dallas never reads the signs. He passes by. He imagines himself in the same place, just him. He wonders what he might write on his sign. The shops were mismatched in size, and dull gray closed signs were rare, even at that hour. The Pizza sign was a fluorescent orange. Through the window, he saw a few patrons standing, leaned against tables or friends. He pushed open the door and walked inside, pulled off his hat and ruffled his hair. A teenager was slumped over the counter with an orange and white visor pulled down low across his sweaty bangs. In the rotating glass, the lonely pepperoni slices were dry and stale. "Can I help you?" "Just pepperoni, thanks," Dallas said, eyes following the spinning slices. The teen handed him his pizza, pushed into a triangle box and burned near the edges. When he walked over to a table, the teenager sighed audibly and started to loudly restock utensils. "Sorry, am I bothering you?" Dallas asked, halfway between sitting and standing. The teen mumbled something without looking up from his task. "Am I bothering you?" Dallas asked again. The other patrons quieted, and in the silence the shop filled with the sound of cars speeding over slush. "No, man, I'm good," the teen finally replied. Dallas sank slowly into his seat. In 25 minutes, Dallas would have a pair of gloved knuckles hurtling towards his face. The dinging sound of the bell echoed behind him as he left the store. He picked up his pace. The cold was more biting now. A crack opened up along his palm, and the blood on it lay dry and still. 15 now. He walked past the homeless guy at the corner and into the darkness of McCall. He could hear the humming of the streetcar behind him and see the flickering lights in his periphery. Some of the single silhouettes had blended into distinct groups that moved together. Dallas paused at Dundas and twisted his head from left to right. The orange hand that faced him was solid. He ran across the street. The angry red of brake lights flashed like cameras. Car horns went off. Adrenaline rushed through his body, and his hat flew off his head. He looked back at the road from the other side of the street and saw the neon green of his hat being run over and dirtied by the cars. He ran back into the road and swiped the dirty toque off the asphalt, stuffing his sullied hat into his jeans pocket. 8 minutes. He brushed against students walking up to the university. They moved by swiftly, clicking boot heels and crunching sneakers. Dallas hunched his shoulders away from them and crossed to the other side of the street. The air was colder there without the warmth of people walking on all sides of him. He pushed down a shiver and buried his hands in his pockets. The dirty melted snow from his hat squished between his fingers. 5 minutes. He walked into the park. It was just before the corner of Ord and McCall. There was a group of guys, maybe his age, convening near one of the short trees. Dallas sat down on the bench facing them. 3. "So then I told her, you can stay or go, I don't give a shit. Don't sit around in my place and tell me what to do, all right? So then she picks up and leaves, and all her crap is at my place now." Dallas laughed, but the group didn't notice. He laughed louder. The forced sound expanded and seeped into the trees. "Hey, buddy, you okay there?" 2. The group turned towards him and started to walk over. There was a single light by the bench. It was an emergency post. The red glowing light of the panic button illuminated the group. The speaker came close to Dallas and squinted at him. "I'm just thinking, that's fucked up, man. What a bitch," Dallas said. The guy didn't respond. He raised an eyebrow at his buddies, who shrugged in turn. Guess we all take what we can get, eh? Dallas said, while his lips slowly turned upwards, especially if we haven't got a lot to work with in the first place. 1. The guy scoffed, and his friends nudged him forward. He knocked their hands off his shoulders and turned away, a quick whatever slipped through his lips. Dallas rose from the bench, and his feet slid on the frozen grass as he ran forward. He thrust out his hand and knocked the guy in the back of the head. 0. A gloved fist ripped itself from the pack and dug into the side of Dallas's face. He fell on the grass and laid there. His breath rushed out in pants, and his fingers felt twisted from the awkwardness of his punch. More cracks opened up against his palm, and he squeezed his fist shut until he could feel the warm blood pushing against his fingers. Dallas remembers the first time he got into a street fight. He feels something and thinks it might be excitement.
Thank you.